Hi, today's day 23 in the Light the World, Build the Kingdom challenge, where each day we get down on our knees and ask God, what is one thing we can do to light the world, build the kingdom, make the world a better place, and then act on whatever inspiration comes. Today in church, someone was talking about the story of Esther, and I don't know if you remember the story of Esther, but at the time the Jews, there was a decree that went forth by the king. The king was sort of tricked into making the decree to kill all the Jews in the land. And Esther was a Jew, and she was the new wife of the king. And there was a rule that the wife couldn't come before the king just all on her own. She couldn't just appear before the king. He could actually execute her for doing that. And the only way that she wouldn't get executed is if the king extended his scepter to her when she showed up, And so her uncle Mordecai tells her, you need to talk to the king. You need to stop this execution of the Jews. And, she's like, I could get killed doing that. I don't really have a way to do that without and be safe. And so her uncle Mordecai tells her, who knows, but you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this. And you better do this thing or you will suffer the consequences. And if you don't do it, God will bring a deliverance in another way, but you will suffer the consequences if you don't step up and do this. And so Esther gathers her handmaidens around her, and they fast and they pray, and all of the Jews fast and pray with her. And she goes before the king, and he extends his scepter, and she reveals the plot that has been done to destroy the Jews. And then what happens is they can't change the decree. I think this is in Persia, and once the king makes a decree, you can't change it. But he allows the Jews to be able to defend themselves, so they don't have to just stand back and take it. So that's about the best that they do. But anyway, Israel is saved because Esther steps up and isn't afraid. Well, she's afraid, but she fasts and prays. So that line, who knows, but you have been brought to the kingdom for such a time as this. And I think you may have that said about you in your life. Maybe you're brought to the kingdom, this kingdom of God, this kingdom of Christ, for such a time as this, to do a specific thing. You're here to do something. And you are perfectly positioned to do that thing. And when Esther starts thinking about all the things that could happen to her, all of the weakness of herself and being able to come to the king, maybe she's afraid that she's not going to say the right thing, or, she definitely is afraid of being killed. When she focuses on that, she doesn't do what she can do. She's been perfectly positioned and has the power to save all of these people. And when she focuses on what she can't do, or what might happen, or the fears of very real threats, she is not willing to do it. But when her uncle helps her see that she has been perfectly placed there by God to do it, and she focuses on what she can do, she can ask her handmaidens to fast and pray with her. She can ask all of the Jews to fast and pray with her. She can walk before the king, and she can trust God that he will do that, that the king will extend his scepter. Then the miracle happens. So when we focus on what we can't do, we focus on our weaknesses or whatever, we don't do the things that we can do. So if you find yourself in a position where you're starting to say, well, I can't do this because of that, and I can't do that because of this, especially when you feel like you're supposed to do something, but you're starting to make all those excuses, think about Esther and think, okay, how can I focus on what I can do here and trust God to do all the stuff that I can't do? Because Esther, there were certain things that were outside of her control, and she just had to trust God for those things. So do what you can, focus on what you can do, and then let God do the rest. By the way, if you ever want to see a really good depiction of this, I really like, on Netflix, they have A Night with the King. One Night with the King, I think, is it? And it's the story of Esther, and it's very well presented. I love that version of Esther. If you want to make a good Sunday viewing for you, I believe it's called One Night with the King, and it's on Netflix. So anyway, thanks for joining me. I appreciate y'all tuning in, and also Thank you for being part of the Light the World Challenge, and just asking God, what's that one thing that you can do today to light the world and make the world a better place, and then act on it. What have you been brought to the kingdom to do? Maybe just take a moment and today and ponder and pray about that. Why are you here? God has a purpose for you. What are you perfectly positioned to do?